Hi guys, so this is my discussion board post response regarding Chapter 10. Upon reading the chapter on class and inequality, I learned that the type of inequality we had today is actually fairly recent, and the so-called stratification of the economic classes is also pretty recent. The stratification became more pronounced in industrialized capitalistic economies like in the US over the past few centuries, only increasing with globalization. And even with the stratification, some countries have been trying to narrow this gap, like in Norway and Sweden, with the system of redistribution, mainly taxing the rich with lots of social benefits for the general public, which kind of leads to my next point. So, regarding the TED Talk, my initial thoughts were how America, usually taught to us as such a global power, with many of the statistics to prove that, are struggling so much with the economic inequality. America, with its mainly capitalistic and materialistic tendencies, have made economic inequality almost impossible to achieve. But, unlike in America, a lot of the countries that we see as progressive are thriving from that stable economic equality, such as in Sweden and Japan, as seen in the graphs, with the graphs from the video. It was also interesting to see that a lot of these countries that are doing better in these terms mostly have homogeneous populations and are in fact developed countries. It was also interesting to see how this economic equality helps improve or lessen the impact of other aspects of life, from more obvious ones like life expectancies to more subtle ones like trust. It seems from the graph that a lot of the diversity in this country seems to be used by the corporations sometimes and people in power to the common person's disadvantage. The long-term implications of social inequality can also be seen with the graphs in the video. If these trends continue, then no one will really benefit. The laws that uphold social economic inequality will continue to reign supreme if we don't face economic inequality. So, upon seeing the film True Cost, a lot of the things didn't really surprise me watching it, but it still made me sad that this is still happening today. Mainly that people's health, safety, and livelihoods are being sacrificed in order to produce something simple as clothing. It is also surprising to hear that so many people up the chain of command are willing to do these things, which can only really happen if these top heads are willing to think that the factory workers are robots or something like that. It's quite obvious that the top heads of these companies that are supplying business to these factories are to blame, but people like the managers of these factories can also be argued as being in a tough position. They are somewhat complicit in further harming the health and safety of their workers by keeping the wages low, also not inspecting the safety of the building or the health of their workers, but they also have to keep handing out wages or people will just simply quit. But it seems like the managers understand what they're doing to their workers, but they can't really do much, as in the case of that one manager of the factory in Bangladesh, because they seem like they can't. This thinking can also be seen in the workers, but in a bit of a different way. The workers know that they're being paid barely anything, but they're also forced to work there because other options are much worse. It was surprising to hear that even local and national governments are also slaves to these developed countries' fashion corporations and don't consider the livelihoods of their own people. Overall, the film depicted a pretty grim situation surrounding the effects of the fashion industry on all levels, but it was nice and important to see the changes that are already being made in this industry, like with the company People Tree. Overall, it's pretty important that economic inequality is addressed in a proper way that benefits everyone. And that's it, so thank you.